Hey everyone, we're jumping right into one of the most mind-bending paradoxes in the history of sports strategy today. Picture this, the 1974 Netherlands national football team. These guys weren't just athletes, they were literal revolutionaries who completely broke the mold of how the game was played. And yet somehow, they walked away from the 1974 World Cup as legends, but legends without a crown. So it really begs the question, how on earth does a team that everyone, and I mean everyone, agrees was the absolute best actually fail to win the ultimate prize? Let's get right into it. There's this quote about them that really hits the nail on the head. They were supposed to change football forever. And they did. But there was one thing they didn't take home. And, that one thing was the trophy itself. It really makes you wonder, right? How does a system so completely flawless and a team so undeniably dominant just fall short when everything is on the line? Part 1. Legends without a crown. Okay, so when the Dutch stepped onto the pitch back then, everyone essentially expected a masterpiece. They played this system called total football, and it was exactly what it sounds like, defined by incredibly fluid movement, high tactical intelligence, and just untouchable control of the pitch. I mean, the players in those iconic orange shirts didn't just run, they practically glided. Every single player was interchangeable. It was this mesmerizing, synchronized rhythm that literally no opponent had ever dealt with before. So the World Cup final kicks off, and the Dutch get what looks like an absolute dream start. We're talking step 1, a jaw-dropping run from their superstar Johan Cruyff. Step 2, he gets fouled. Step 3, a penalty goal. Bam, 1-0. And here is the absolutely staggering part. They scored before West Germany had even touched the ball. In the biggest match on the planet, they basically turned their opponents into front-row spectators. But as we'll see, that perfect start, well, it might have been just a little too perfect. Which brings us to part 2, the illusion of control. See, that mind-blowing opening? It actually morphed into this really dangerous complacency. Because, let's face it, control can often be a total illusion. The Dutch kept passing, and visually, they completely commanded the game. But internally, their tempo dropped, the urgency just kind of faded away. They fell straight into the trap of thinking that because they were dominating possession, the game was already in the bag. And honestly, this is a massive takeaway for literally any discipline. Just because you're holding the steering wheel doesn't mean you've crossed the finish line. Part 3. Momentum changes sides. So while the Dutch were sort of luxuriating in all that ball possession, the Germans did something incredibly smart. They didn't panic. They just waited. We go from Cruyff's lightning-fast early penalty to that mid-match drop in tempo we just talked about. And then suddenly, the balance abruptly shifts. Paul Breitner nails a penalty equalizer to make it 1-1. Talk about emotional whiplash. The momentum violently flips. And then comes the absolute climax. A sharp pass, a quick turn, and a flawless finish from Gerd Müller. 2-1 Germany. It was simple, clinical, and absolutely deadly. Now this perfectly highlights the ultimate dichotomy of this entire matchup. On one side, you have Holland. They created pure beauty, they commanded dominance, and they prized fluidity. They were completely obsessed with the art of the game. But on the flip side, you have Germany. They were precise, they were clinical, and they were focused purely on the cold, hard math of winning. Holland created beauty for sure, but Germany created goals. Moving right along to part 4, the genius contained. To really grasp how Germany pulled off this turnaround, we have to look at the environment. This match was in Munich. Imagine being surrounded by an absolute sea of German voices. Every single touch, every tackle, it echoed with this massive, crushing pressure. The Dutch weren't just playing 11 guys on a field, they were literally playing an entire nation. And you can bet that weight really started to wear their revolutionary system down. And then came the tactical masterclass of containing Johan Cruyff. He wasn't just a player, he was the conductor of their entire orchestra. He was the system itself. But the Germans? They surrounded him. They pressed him relentlessly and severely limited his space. And as Cruyff started to fade under all that intense pressure, the entire Dutch rhythm just faded right along with him. And sadly, as the rhythm died, so did the dream. Which leads us to our final section, the hardest truth. Here is the bitter, bitter reality of it all. A better idea will almost always be defeated by better execution. Throughout that match, the Dutch had these fleeting half chances where they could have easily put the game to bed, but they let them slip away. And here's the thing about finals. They do not reward dominance. They don't care how pretty you play. They strictly reward precise execution. And on that day, Germany had the precision.
So the big overarching life lesson here is that winning really requires three non-negotiable elements. You have to grasp the crucial moments, you have to adapt to your environment, and you need immense mental strength. Having the most beautiful, innovative ideas in the world guarantees you absolutely nothing if you lack ruthless execution. Football, and honestly life in general, isn't just about beauty. It's about actually seizing the moment when it counts.
But hey, we shouldn't walk away from this thinking the 1974 team were just total failures. Far, far from it. Their ideas completely rewired how the game is played, literally forever. They inspired entire generations and actually built the foundational philosophy for legendary clubs like FC Barcelona. So yeah, they lost the match, for sure, but they absolutely won the future of the sport. It all brings us back to this universal, if somewhat painful truth. Being the best just doesn't always mean you win. You can be the most talented, innovative, and dominant force out there. But if you lose your urgency and you fail to execute when the pressure is on, that trophy is going to whoever does. So I'll leave you with one final provocative question to chew on. Was this 1974 Netherlands squad truly the greatest team to never win a World Cup? Or, despite all their jaw-dropping revolutionary beauty, did they simply run into a German team that fundamentally understood the raw mechanics of winning better? It's a classic debate of art versus pragmatism, and it's one that still echoes loudly today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it shifts how you look at the delicate balance between having a great strategy and actually executing it. See you next time.